This is Jim Nailon, liturgical guitarist. I'm going to share my arrangement of O Sacrament Most Holy. I'll play through it first, and then we'll go over it. Okay, so that the arrangement is a little, it's deceptively easy in that, especially in the first verse where I'm playing in the key of G. Leah, stop it. The key of G, the melody sometimes is down in the lower strings, and you have upper strings, higher notes in accompaniment. So you need to really focus on bringing out the melody. So first off, you have to really know the song to know that melody. Another trick that I'll show you, I would suggest if you're learning this, is especially on this first page, see how I've highlighted all the notes with stems up. The notes that have stems up, those are melody notes. So through that whole first page, and then there's a couple measures on the last couple measures of the third line on the second page, the melody gets covered up a little bit too. So I've highlighted those in yellow just as a little reminder. So if you're not used to playing melody down on the low string with your thumb sometimes, this could be awkward. 99% of my arrangements, the melody is up in the three upper strings. So this is a little bit of a stretch. I'm working on an arrangement right now for the John Foley song "Come to the Water." And that one, the melody in the first verse is in G also, and the melody lays down on played with the thumb, a lot of it. And so I'm kind of stretching my style a little bit too. I'm expanding into. I kind of like that sound of the melody down low, but then you have to. It requires you to play loud on the melody notes and subdued on the accompaniment notes. So you really want to bring out the notes that have the stem up. So let's talk through this now. First verse in the key of G. Oh, and this kitty's not been in a video yet, but this is my girl Leah, spelled Liath, and that's Gaelic for gray, but it's pronounced Leah, and she's my girl. Anyway, so at the start, let's see. Oh, I'm doing the wrong song. Real soft on this and loud. It's another. So it's really important. I guess I would suggest first just make sure you know where the melody is. Go through and read all the upstems notes. And I omit, there's a note or two I omit. Usually it's in the the last of the second measure of each line. It's the pickup note to the second half of that phrase. So I'm doing, "O Sacrament most holy, da ba da da da." I'm leaving out O for the second time. "O Sacrament." I leave the O out, and I leave that out in the next line too. And there's enough. The fill notes kind of allude to that melody note, so I don't include it. I thought it kind of clogged things up, but if you like that, go ahead and just change it to put that melody note in there. But the melody that I have is so those are the notes that I highlighted in the first verse. So the trick is just, there's nothing really too hard. I'll go over the harder parts, but the trick is playing loud with some notes and playing soft. And if you've never done that before, and having to bring the melody notes out, it can be an awakening. I remember the first time I realized or was told by a teacher, you've got to bring some notes out and some notes have to be soft. That was like a whole new dimension of guitar playing opening up. But also, if you really know where that melody note is, or the melody line is, and listen for it, eventually your hand will just kind of bring that out a little bit. But if you play everything the same, you'll lose it. This is what it would sound like. Gets kind of lost. So that's going to be something you're going to have to work out on your own. Finding that, bringing out those melody notes and laying off the volume, playing real soft with your fingers on anything that's not a melody note. So the first line is straightforward. There's nothing there. Second line, hammer on. That note, getting down to that melody note there, you have to go down. Well, both the first melody notes there, you're playing with your first finger on the fourth string. And if you're used to just standard finger picking, where the rules are your first finger always plays the third string, second finger second string, third finger first string, then that's a little awkward for you to go down there. But if you've studied some classical or whatever, then you're a little more flexible with where your fingers can play. But anyway, just note that in measure 6 there on that C, you got to grab that with your first finger. Ah. Now that last measure there, that measure 8, that it was tricky to get that written out, but it's pretty simple. I'm just doing a double hammer on. I've already plucked the 4th string, and then when I pluck the B on the open 2nd string, and then I do a double hammer on here on the 2nd and 4th strings. So So that's what that is. It's, if you get bogged down in the notation there, just try it by ear. And then going into the next line, measure 9, 3rd line. You get to reach out with the little finger here to get the 4th fret of the 4th string. That's the major 7th. And then that's also the actually, it's a sharp sus4, isn't it? It's an F sharp. Yeah. It's a nice dissonance there. But you want to bring that note out and bring the other 3 of the C here. Soft, and then loud, soft. And then a half bar here, or 2/3 bar on an A chord. D, double hammer on here, last line, melody note there, and then the C, and I messed this up on the recording. I think there was a mistake here. Or at least I botched a note. The G, last measure in that first page. We're modulating now to the key of C. So that last note is your first first note in the melody, so it wants to be strong. And now the melody's in the upper part here. I'm playing in C. And I messed this measure up too, measure 18. There's a whole note, 1, 2, and 3, and 4 is the timing on that measure. And then, oh, and then going on. So you'll notice I'm playing those with my thumb around, but I fingered it for people that do not do that. So if you play with your thumb around, you'll know how to make that work. If you're used to barring and always play that way, then you're probably better at it than I am, and it'll sound just fine. I can play it that way, so it would be. Actually, you don't need. I didn't put a bar here because you just. Because you've already got your 3rd finger is the pivot finger on this change from the C to the F. Your 3rd finger right here is not going anywhere. And you just bring the first finger over back to the C. But then the 3rd measure of that first line, you do have to bar an F. And then going to the G. Now you could get those same notes on the G by sliding up to the bar G. Or whichever's easier for you. But that one, you do have to bar, unless you're doing your thumb around. which would be little run there, and then same thing. This measure 21 start of the second line is the same as before. Actually, the first two measures are both the same. And then bar and the F. Little hammer on there, little riff. And then measure 25. And here you have, okay, the way I fingered this is, so I'm only using, it looks like a power chord, right? If you're into that sort of thing. And then, so I got my first finger reaching over and getting the F bass. Now the bass is the fifth string, the C. So I bring this over. And there's that open first string, so I don't need a full bar there. So it's easier for me to just grab everything with my thumb. And then here on this D chord, you're going to use your little finger. So you're going to, instead of playing your D the way you normally do, first, second, third fingers, you're going to use your second, third, and fourth fingers. So your little fingers on the third fret of the second string. Then you drop into that, that's the seventh, the D7. And then at that point, your second finger reaches over to grab the F sharp and the bass. And normally I would play that A, that last note in that measure, with my third finger. And I think that's how I played it, because I can get from there to the over here on the sixth string third fret. I can get there with keeping legato. But if you have trouble making that change, you can just bring your first finger up there. That's the way I fingered it. But either your first or third finger on that note, whichever. And if you do that, then there's no problem at all getting your third finger down on the bass of the G. Last line, we're almost there. And just the short F, and the barred F again, and then a little riff, and then a hammer on. So you're just playing that C chord with your second finger up and hammer it on there. And if you've not done that riff before, I've used that on a lot of my arrangements. So if you're familiar with my work, then that's nothing new. But if it is new to you, a tendency among guitarists that are just learning it is to try and get that hammer on down really quick. But you can wait as long as you want. That was too long, but I was just exaggerating. So notice I put a hold over it there. I could have put a retard over that whole last measure. So something like that. Anyway, the reason I arranged this, my guitar student Marty and I were talking. He's working on Dona Nobis Pacem, and I was telling him reminding him how I use that at Mass after the priest has received communion, and when the Eucharistic ministers are coming up to the altar to receive. There's a little time lag there, and I'll often play Dona Nobis Pacem. You can find this arrangement on my website. The nice thing about that, well, it relates to it because Dona Nobis Pacem means grant us peace, which is the last line of the Lamb of God. So it is appropriate there, not just playing a pretty piece. And but it's nice because each each variation, there's 3 variations or 3 parts. It's a 3-part round. So each part is only 8 bars. So they're short. So you can work the timing out so that when, in our church, the Eucharistic minister comes to the musicians first. So when I see them coming down towards me, then I'll wrap that up, and then I'll receive communion, and then start the communion hymn. But I told him there's another one. O Lord, I am not worthy that you should come to me. I can't remember how it goes, but it's on my website. I get the melody with that mixed up with this. And Marty said, yeah, no, Sacrament Most Holy would work. And he tried playing it for me in G, and I'd never played it before, but I said, I think it would work better in C, and I just played it and played right through it in C, just from ear. And so I thought, well, I think I'll arrange that. And then I tried it in G, like he was doing it, and actually found that a way to make that work. So it sounds kind of nice going in both keys here. But you could use this as a prelude, as a post-communion reflection if you need something, or you could use it in that little space between the priest having communion and the start of the first communion hymn, if you want or need any music to fill that. Sometimes silence is good there too. So this one also is just 8 bars. Da 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 da. You could stop it right there. There's a lot of easy places to stop this, and so it would be, and of course it's totally appropriate for the start of communion. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that, I think. And Leah's been a good girl here, and this is her first video. So anyway, I pray God blesses your playing,